Hello, everybody. I am Talitha Smit'e for Doku News, and I am very happy to introduce Hoax LeBeau, Amsterdam-based drag queen and DJ. Thank you so much, Hoax, for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Today, we will be discussing how the coronavirus pandemic has influenced your ability to perform as a drag queen, the alternatives came up with, and social activism in general in the Netherlands. So to start off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself for the uninitiated here?
Yes.
Your drag career,
Yeah, my name is Hoax LeBeau. I have been doing drag for almost 10 years now, mainly in Amsterdam. That's where I live. I work as a host. I work as a DJ. I have had my very own TV show on national television. I was the one of three, because I did it with two colleagues, one of three first drag queens ever to host their own television show on national television. And I do quite a bit of campaigns and activism.
Perfect. So let's jump right into it. To start off, when the corona crisis became really relevant in the Netherlands, it of course was a shocking thing by itself, but for you it must have been, what were your thoughts when you understood that there were events for you to perform or platforms for you to go to?
Yeah, that was a very big shock. First, of course, the first thing that happened was panic. It's like, how am I gonna work? How am I gonna make my money? Because, well, I've got rent to pay. So that was a big question. Luckily, the Dutch government was very nice, and they made a fund for all people who are working for themselves, so have no employers. If you have an employer, the state will cover 90% of the salary. So everyone who couldn't go to work would still get paid at least most of their salary. But in my case, and for me and all of the other performers and artists, we work for ourselves, so we don't have a boss, so we don't have a salary. So there was a emergency fund where everyone who applied for it, if you could show and prove that you were indeed working for yourself, you would get a little bit of money every month, so that I could at least pay my rent. So that was good. I was also lucky enough to be signed to an agency, the drag agency, which is the very first agency for drag queens and performers in the Benelux, so Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And they luckily worked their asses off and immediately jumped to online. So we did quite a bit of online workshops, trainings. We thought of energizers because everyone was working from home, which is really annoying with Zoom meetings and Hangouts and stuff like that, where you can't hear most of the people half of the time. So what is better than having a drag queen in your meeting for 30 minutes or so? So that was really good. So I did have work. I did have things to do. So I was very lucky in that sense.
That even sounds like a lot of fun, to be honest.
It is, yeah.
So you definitely found, because thank God for the finances, first of all, that you didn't have to worry about that, but also you had an outlet for your cultural and artistic side. I was saying, so financially you were good, and I'm very happy to hear that, but also culturally, were you, I would say, satisfied with performing, or do you still, to me, drag performance is very much connected to club life and events and people coming to see the show. How did that resonate with each other, doing it in front of a screen instead of audience?
Oh yes, that was very weird. I always said drag is my job, it's my work. I do not sit at home in drag. I do not sit on the couch in drag. This is my job outfit, my work outfit. But now all of a sudden I was sitting at home in drag and actually working from home. So that was really strange. And of course, as a performer, the main thing I work off of and work with is the audience. It's the connection with the audience. And once there is a video feed or screen behind that, between that, that makes a world of difference. It's very strange to not have an immediate reaction or response from your crowd. So that took some getting used to, definitely.
Yeah, I can totally imagine. And so you say you did this also with your agency, so with more drags, it was a cooperation,
It was, yes. I'm
you could
signed with
say?
the drag agency, and we have 7 queens within our agency. But also, if we have bookings where none of us can do it or aren't available or whatever, we also source out other queens. So I also get bookings for other queens who are not necessarily within the agency. So it is
Right.
very much a sort of a team effort, which was really good.
Yeah.
So I have this network of people who support each other, and that was really good, especially during Corona, where you're just stuck in your house and not really seeing anyone.
Yeah. Looking out for each other.
Yes, definitely. That
Yeah.
group sense, that sense of community was very important for me, at least.
And would you say that that is something good that came out of this whole Corona crisis, or was it already a tight group?
Well, we already were a tight group. I would say, especially in Amsterdam, the drag community is very tight knit. It's pretty large, but I know a lot of people in it, and most of them I consider to be my friends. So the community in itself is very close already. And the benefit of having the agency is that now I could also, and we could supply work to other people. So that was also good. But there's also another friend of mine made a new initiative. It's a platform. It's called LHBTI Steun, so LHBTI support, for anyone who was at home and feeling lonely and didn't have that kind of network around them. So it's still up. It has a phone line. It has a website where you can chat to other people from the community. And I was lucky enough to be an ambassador for that as well. So there were really good things popping up during this entire pandemic that I think really made a positive impact.
Yes, and hopefully will remain after quarantining is over.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So as you just said, social media is playing a huge part in your ability to keep working during this time. Um, and as you said, you also use the platform for activism, or as I
Yeah.
saw you call it, dragtivism.
Yeah.
And as you have heard, in Turkey, the situation right now is that the government wants to regulate social media. And a lot of people are scared that this regulation will silence many voices and limit free speech. And I want to kind of first paint a picture of the situation in the Netherlands. You can do this better than me, but I think many people see the Netherlands as this, especially Amsterdam, as this place where everyone can be themselves. And maybe even Dutch people see it that way because it was the first country to legalize gay marriage and we have all the laws in place and the equality. But there are still incidents and hate crimes. Would you agree? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I do think that the Netherlands and Amsterdam in specific is very progressive in that way. And it is one of the best places to live in the entire world, probably, as a LGBTQI plus person. That said, it doesn't mean it's perfect. We still obviously also have hate crimes. There is quite a lot of violence. Not as much as in other parts of the world, luckily, but it's still happening. It's still going on. So even here in this almost like idyllic place, as some might think, it's not perfect yet. And that's why we still have to keep on fighting and keep showing the world that we're here. And we are allowed to be here.
Yeah, and social media, I can imagine, plays a huge role in that as well.
Yes, it
As a
does.
platform, not just for you have made a name for yourself, but just anyone who feels attacked can use that platform as a way to express themselves.
Yes, definitely. I think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I think that especially social media is considered to be a safe place because it is online, because there is no way of people actually physically attacking you for who you are or what you think or what you feel or who you love. And that creates a lot of opportunity for people to express themselves and to find out who they really are or what they like or who they like. So I think social media, especially now with the younger generation who grew up on TikToks and Instagrams and, well, Facebook apparently now is out. I don't know. That's my generation probably more.
So I've heard.
So I've heard. I don't know. I might be considered old now too. But I see that around me and in the community that a lot of, especially younger kids, not necessarily kids, but younger people, it plays a huge part in their lives and their identities as well.
Yeah. And when these incidents happen, unfortunately, is there enough mainstream media attention to it? And is there, if you would go to the police to make a report, would anyone be taken seriously for these matters, or do you have to take it to online to make it an issue?
Well, that depends. A lot of like the attacks and things like that have gotten quite a bit of national media attention nowadays. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of them have. So I think that's a good thing. And especially with the police force here in the Netherlands, there's a special department within the police force. It's called Pink in Blue. Our police force is always dressed in blue. That's why. Pink in Blue. And they are a special task force just assigned for discrimination or anti-LGBT violence. So if there's any problem and you don't feel like you're being taken seriously within just a regular police force, you can always go to them. And they are designed and set up especially to help people from within our community. So I think that's a very good thing.
Yes.
They have helped me in the past. They were great. They always have someone to just be there for you and listen to you. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, I think it's so important to be able to, even if unfortunately violence happens or attacks happen, that you have the law on your side at least.
Yes, definitely.
That's
definitely.
Huge. But unfortunately, I think for many other countries, that security is not there. So, no. And this happens in the Netherlands as well. If you make a video of something that happens to you and you put it online, you have so much more power to control the narrative and to, you know, give it the attention it needs.
Yes, definitely. It's always good. I say that to all of my friends and all of the people. If something happens, just take out your phone and videotape it. If you can, do it inconspicuously or don't, or just tell them, well, I'm filming you right now, because you will have proof and evidence of what happened. And that is so important because it's very more often than not someone's word against someone else's word if no one else was involved. And then it's really hard to prove. So if you have video evidence or just audio, that helps a lot. Yeah.
Definitely. In another matter, we were talking about activism, and also basically we could say the Black Lives Matter protests have started with someone putting a video online and starting this whole riot and actually realizing a really big change in society. I will give some short background information for the listeners. There was a Black Lives Matter's demonstration in Amsterdam during Corona time, and the mayor of Amsterdam, Femke Halsema, she approved the demonstration, and she got a lot of backlash for that afterwards. She was even pressured to resign because of the unsafe matters. And this brings me to the question, how can we, in these times, let's say it takes another 6 months, how can we keep the minority voices strong if we are not allowed to go to the streets and protest what we want to see change?
Yeah, I think that's a very important issue. If you cannot go out or protest, or if protests are being banned, because that happens here in the Netherlands as well, every once in a while, because they think it's unsafe or whatever. I think especially in this, again, online presence and social media play a huge part in this. You can always, at least I can, go to my Instagram account or my Facebook account and let my voice be heard. And I'm lucky enough to have a little bit of a following and people who follow me. So I know that what I am saying is being heard. And I think social media plays a huge part in that. So if you cannot go out and let your voice be heard, you can still do it online. And I think that is very good.
Exactly. And I saw also Amsterdam municipality has started a campaign where you are active in.
Yeah.
Badly translated, it's come on Amsterdam, be an Amsterdammer.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't really translate that well. Yeah, I was lucky enough to be asked to be part of that. It is a anti-discrimination campaign where it's not just targeted at people of color or people with a different sexual orientation, or a religion, but just discrimination in general. And it is meant to entice people from Amsterdam, the people who live in the city, to speak out and speak up if you see or hear any kind of injustice around you, if you hear discrimination or if you see discrimination, to not just walk by and remain silent, but speak up and use your voice, because that is the only way we can make this city at least a little bit better for everyone. And that is, in the end, what we all want. I think it's what I want. I hope that's what the rest of the city also wants.
I hope so. Yeah, I assume.
Yeah, I hope so too. I assume so. Yeah.
Yeah. But have you seen any changes in the last, let's say you've been doing drag for 10 years? Have you been living in Amsterdam for? Are you Amsterdam?
I wasn't born here, but I moved here about 10 years ago, a little bit more than 10 years ago. I am Dutch. I am from the Netherlands, but I wasn't raised in Amsterdam. No. So I moved here a little bit over 10 years ago. And it's hard for me to tell if there actually has been a change within those 10 years. I think so, but changes go so gradually, at least for me, that I think it's hard to describe if there's an actual change. I can describe a change with the stories I know of for my friends who lived here during the 80s and the 90s,
right.
Who would go out in full drag during the day and take public transport, something I would never, ever do right now, just because it's not safe for me to do so. There are a lot of crazy people in this world and even in the city, and it's not safe for me to go out in public transport like this. I wouldn't, well, maybe it is, but I still think it's a risk. So I would never do that. Yeah. If I'm stuck in a tram or a train, I can't go anywhere. If anything happens, it's just a situation I'm avoiding. And they are now as well. But back in the 80s and 90s, they didn't have a problem with that. So on a broader scale, yes, I think a change is happening, has happened. But during the last 10 years, I find it really hard to see if it's been in the past 10 years, the past 3 years. I don't know. There wasn't like
gradual.
It's a gradual change, yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can take it back again, because that would be better for it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working towards too. Yeah.
And speaking of which, tomorrow the Amsterdam Pride begins. Pride Week, am I right?
Yes.
What is on the agenda this week?
Well, traditionally, Amsterdam always has a huge Pride parade to kick off the Pride week. Well,
Which
no,
is
it's the end
the
of
best
Pride
day
week,
of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. I love it. And the most amazing part is that Amsterdam has a lot of canals, and we have our Pride parade through the canals. So it's all on boats, not through the streets, but on boats through the canals, which is amazing. But unfortunately, of course, due to the coronavirus and the measurements taken against that, that's not an option. So what they have done is made an online program. I am lucky to be part of that as well. Amsterdam Pride has arranged for an entire week worth of television programming on one of the, I think it's on 2 networks, but you might have to fact check that. I'm not sure. It's on Salto, I think, and on Out TV probably. A whole week's worth of television programming. I have played a DJ set for that as well, so I'm closing off the last night with my DJ set, which is really cool. It's already been recorded, and it's gonna air at the 1st of August, I think. So that's cool. They also made an app with which you can just do your own walk tour through the city, past relevant monuments and historic places important for our community. And there's an app, and you can just follow that route by yourself or with a friend or whoever you want to do that with, on a safe distance, of course. So you can sort of celebrate Pride a little bit by yourself. So there are a lot of initiatives happening, but yeah, of course, the large events with a lot of people aren't an option right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. But a silver lining is maybe we can join the fun this week in Amsterdam.
Yes, definitely.
Online.
It will be online. It's not just on television. All the programming by Amsterdam Pride is also able to be found online. The website for that, I think, is amsterdampride.org or .nl.
We will link it down below.
Yeah, link it somewhere, because that is really good. You can just check it out online, and you can celebrate Pride, Amsterdam Pride, just from the comfort of your own home. So that is really cool.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
And lastly, is there any idea when the clubs will open and you will be able to do your thing again and perform on stage?
No, not really. No, there has been set a date, which I believe is September 1st, but that's a date where they're gonna discuss and see how they'll do it. Because here in the Netherlands, almost everything is back open again with restrictions and regulation, of course. So the bars are open, the restaurants are open. You will have to book a table. There's 6 feet of distance, of course.
Right.
But the only thing that still is on lockdown is the nightlife. All the clubs, and they are still closed, unfortunately. So we're hoping maybe September 1st, but I don't know. I honestly do not know. So
it is tough.
It is tough. It is.
Because I feel like that date has been pushed further many times now.
Yeah, it has. And if I'm being honest, I probably think it will be pushed back further even more. So we don't know. Let's just hope there still is a nightlife scene by the end of all this, and the clubs will be able to survive somehow. Because, well, they still have rent to pay, and they're not making any money right now. So yeah, It's tough. It's really tough for them.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. And thank you so much for talking to us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
It was lovely. And thank you to our watchers on Facebook as well, by the way. Yes. You just insulted those people. Twitter.
I love Facebook. I'm on it.
Dokusikis TV and Instagram. And for more information on Hoax, I will link her bio below so we can all keep an eye on her and see what she's up to on Pride Week starting tomorrow. Thank you, Hoax.
Thank you so much.